Hey interwebs, I haven't made a video in a while, but considering today was the biggest news day in probably 10 years for the video game industry, I felt like it would be a good time to put a half-assed effort video up talking about my reaction to the corporate overlords at Microsoft now buying Activision in their inevitable quest to merge with Disney and take over the rest of the metaverse. So without further ado, I thought it'd be fun to do a video showing my top 3 winners of this news, top 3 losers, and 4 hot takeaways I have, just general things that are questions that need to be asked now that Microsoft is buying freaking Activision Blizzard. So first for winners we have game developers, specifically all the developers at Activision Blizzard. If anybody's paid attention to Activision over the past 3 decades, you know they are good at one thing and one thing only. And that is getting a really popular hit franchise, critically acclaimed, and then running it into the ground with annual sequels. I'm looking at you, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Guitar Hero and Call of Duty. Here's the thing. Call of Duty remains the best-selling video game annually, every year for the past 13 years. It's an unbelievable streak that will quite likely never ever be repeated as we move to the subscription Game Pass style of video game delivery systems as opposed to buying a standard $60 game. The thing is, it's still the best-selling game every year. 20 million copies or something are sold every year. Absolutely insane. And because of that, Activision has basically forced not only Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games, each of those 3 studios puts out a Call of Duty developed annually, and they each get 3 years to work on it. But they're also pulling like other really talented teams they do own. You know, you got Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, people who worked on the Spyro remasters, the Crash Bandicoot remasters, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 remaster, really fun games people liked, and past few months, past few years, they're like, okay, yep, you're just gonna do support assistance to get that Call of Duty out. Gotta get a new Call of Duty every year. These teams are now free to probably do what they want. Uncle Phil Spencer is a god. He knows how to manage studios, and he is absolutely gonna make sure, like, hey, you guys don't have to do Call of Duty every single freaking year. You're talented. What do you got for us? Maybe we'll let you do something else in addition to Call of Duty. Sounds great to me. Gamers win. Developers win. Developers are happy, and when you have happy developers, you have more creative output, better games, wider variety of games. So thank Xbox and Uncle Phil for that. All right, number 1 for losers, of course, we have Sony. That's no surprise there. So it's pretty crazy what's happened here. We went from E3 2020, less than 2 years ago. Microsoft has a terrible showcase. They show off their big Xbox Series X launch title, which is going to be Halo Infinite. Looks like complete dog shit. I'm sorry, is that not politically correct anymore? My apologies. Canine shit. Terrible demo. Looked absolutely terrible. Trailer, whatever you want to call it. Laughing stock of the internet. They delay it for a year, and Halo was like their last big gun. Like, they had no exclusive franchises people cared about. Gears was okay, but Halo Infinite had to launch. Had to be amazing, or that's the end of Xbox. Xbox Series X will run for a year or 2. Then Microsoft's going to pull a Sega, like the Dreamcast, they'll pull the console, and they'll just publish games like Minecraft to make money that way. That did not happen. They delayed Halo Infinite a year. Okay. Series X launches. Okay. And they buy Bethesda, one of the ZeniMax Media, technically, but with that comes Todd Howard's team at Bethesda Game Studios, the Elder Scrolls Fallout studio, id Software with Doom, Machine Games with Wolfenstein, Arcane with Dishonored. You've got some hugely talented teams. That changed the game because, you know, Starfield and Skyrim, sorry, it's not Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 6 are just coming to Microsoft systems. It's going to be absolutely huge. So, that's where we're at. It went from Xbox Series X being a laughingstock to now, you're going to have to pay attention to Microsoft. It's a big deal. And now that they just nabbed Call of Duty. So when you buy Activision Blizzard, you're buying all of Blizzard's IP, which, let's be honest, most of those games are best played on and mostly played on PCs. But then you get Call of Duty, the biggest game in the industry, the biggest shooter in the industry. And now Sony doesn't have that anymore. That's going to be huge. They haven't officially announced if Call of Duty is not going to be on PlayStation in a few years, but it'd be stupid to put it on PlayStation after spending $70 billion on Activision Blizzard. It'd be absolutely insane not to do that. Basically, here's the bottom line. Not only do they have a must-play game that people need to play, but they now pretty much own every major first-person shooter franchise that people want to play. You bought Bethesda, so you got yourself your Dooms, whatever you're going to get put out by Arcane going forward after Deathloop. You've already got the teams that make Gears, which isn't first-person shooter, but same kind of thing, tactical shooter, third-person shooter. Then you got the 343. I mean, now you have Call of Duty. Like, what's left? I mean, Sony does not have it. Not only do they not have Call of Duty, they don't have major first-person shooters on their console anymore. That's a big, big, content gap. And, they don't make Killzone anymore. They don't make SOCOM. They don't make Siphon Filter. They don't make Resistance. And none of those were ever at the level of popularity of, like, a Call of Duty or Halo. But it was at least a first-person shooter. And now that, like, literally all the first-person shooters are over at Xbox, that is something Sony needs to be worried about. I would not be shocked after this announcement if 6 years from now they tally the score and Xbox Series X and PS5 sold about even. Shock me. Next up for winners, of course, we have Microsoft. There's really no way to say it other than they've completely made themselves the dominant player in PC gaming now that you own Blizzard. And take Activision's Call of Duty, you own every major first-person shooter franchise, you own the most popular video game in the world every year, and it's not going to be on PlayStation systems going forward. This is a huge win for Microsoft. It took them $70 billion to do it, but there's really, really no other way to say it. This makes Game Pass, more than it already was after the Bethesda acquisition, a absolute must-have experience. Even if you don't own an Xbox, trust me, I've tried out xCloud gaming on devices hooked up with an Ethernet cord like a PC or laptop. You need extremely fast Wi-Fi for it to work well, but we're getting there, and this is going to sync Google Stadia, and this is going to be the future. Uncle Phil doesn't care if you have an Xbox in 5 years. He just wants you paying for your monthly Pass subscription. Hook, line, and sinker. This is huge. There's no other way to put it. Fantastic for Microsoft and for an Xbox fanboy, or just a fan of Xbox in general. And also for the losers, I am also going to say Microsoft, because here's the thing people need to realize. It cost like $68 billion to buy Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has FU money. They're one of probably the 5 most valuable companies in the world, worth over $2 trillion. They literally have FU. And when you have FU money, you can make FU purchases. I believe somebody said they have like $150 million in cash reserves right now. Billion, excuse me. So they just dropped $70 billion on Activision Blizzard. Like, so I guess I'll take this one today, and next time I'll buy. I'll take the United States of America. I'll buy Amazon, and let's see, whatever else I can get. Here's the thing. $70 billion, and basically, what did you get? You bought Blizzard. Okay, what's Blizzard? It's World of Warcraft and a bunch of other great games, but these are all games that are pretty much locked into a PC audience. I don't know if Xbox needed to lock up the PC audience. I guess they want to. That's not the thing. So, let's put that aside. I don't think they needed to buy Blizzard. But buying Activision, again, you really just you bought a bunch of developers, great, but all those developers do is usually turn out Call of Duty sequels. So basically, you bought the Call of Duty IP for $70 billion. And that's a major chess piece off the board. It's going to force people who may have been wanting to get a PS5, can't get their hands on one, now they'll buy an Xbox Series X or Series S. What I'm trying to say is, I looked up the market value of other companies. They paid, first of all, they have $150 billion cash on hand. They could buy Sony. Now, antitrust regulation would prevent that purchase, of course, but they have more, not just PlayStation, mind you, Sony Computer Entertainment, the whole Sony company, the electronics division, Sony Music, television, movies, everything is worth $150 billion. Microsoft has that kind of money right now. They also, though, it's $70 billion, so they don't care if they lose it because they're Microsoft, but that's still a lot of money. You're way overpaying for one game where it's just not sustainable to think people are going to buy it. 20 million people are going to buy a copy of Call of Duty every single year. It's been 13 years straight. Even Pixar eventually put out Cars after all those great movies. It's just not feasible that that's going to keep going. So basically, they have the money, and hopefully it works out for them, but they basically paid $70 million for the Call of Duty IP. If you want to take a chess piece off the board, Take-Two is probably got a valuation of like $17 million, $20 million. You could have taken Grand Theft Auto off the board, and that would have been just as impactful, I feel, as taking Call of Duty off the board. So good for them, but I think they way overpaid for this. They literally could have bought, it would have gotten broken up. For the price they paid for Activision Blizzard, they could have probably bought EA, Take-Two, and maybe Square Enix or Ubisoft for them all in that same price. I think, I'm just saying, I don't think it's worth the $70 billion. And now the last of the 3 winners, I think, are the gamers, with one exception to that in the next loser category, but gamers win here. Gamers win completely. all the development teams over at Activision Blizzard, everything from Infinity Ward to Sledgehammer, Treyarch, some great talent there. And of course, over at Toys for Bob, various visions, Uncle Phil is going to let them make whatever the hell they want. He's the guy who's like, Tim Schafer's like, yeah, we know this effing weird game, Psychonauts 2, and Uncle Phil's like, it's... So basically, you're going to be getting a lot more different games from those teams, which is going to be awesome for us. Second of all, you're going to get all these Activision Blizzard games, especially Call of Duty, on Game Pass. So if Game Pass wasn't already an instant buy-in, it should have been if you have a brain after the Bethesda deal. Absolutely unbelievable value. So gamers win there, and even the PlayStation people who are upset, dude, you can now get Game Pass and play xCloud on devices that aren't an Xbox console. It's just a win-win. Win. I don't see how people could see it any other way. If you're a gamer, this is a win. Most importantly, I was talking earlier in the video about that big F-up, E3 2013. Xbox One is a joke. Don Magic almost tanked the brand. And, you know, E3 2020 wasn't that great. Halo Infinite kind of sucked. And from the ashes, yes, they just bought a bunch of stuff, but through the leadership of Phil Spencer, who has literally done everything right for the gamers, you know, it's pretty amazing. They've now got all these must-play franchises. Game Pass is a better deal than ever, and yeah, they took a huge chess piece off the board. So, and why is this good? Let me explain. Again, competition is good for games. Xbox 360 did really well. Xbox One tries to launch. Microsoft tries to screw us over with a bunch of bullshit policies, no use games, always online, etc., etc. Weaker console, you gotta have Kinect, all that crap. PS4 did crazy good, so Sony's doing not as bad, but they're doing like little things to, you know, piss you off. They're like, you know, no free next gen upgrades if you want games, your PS4 games to run at 60 frames per second. If you're on PC, this one discussion. Little things there that if they've bothered the fans. The whole lying to us, basically, you know, Xbox says, hey, instead of traditional console generation, we're going to phase hardware out slowly. And then Sony's like, we believe in generations. And then they proceed to put Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok for. So, you know, here's the thing. Competition is good. I've never wanted Xbox to go down. I want them fighting neck and neck. After these acquisitions, Xbox and PlayStation are going to be going neck and neck. Competition in the end is great for the consumer because they're each going to be fighting for our dollar that much harder, which means more consumer-friendly policies. If Sony ran away with this generation like we thought, they could basically do whatever they want to us, and I'm very glad that's no longer the case. And the last set of losers we have is going to be, very simply, it is going to be the few gamers who are going to be upset by this, and that's number one. That's going to be the PlayStation gamers, of which there are many friends of mine. Shout out to you, Chad, if you ever see this, who play Call of Duty on their PlayStations. All their friends play PlayStation, they all play Call of Duty. Sorry, if you want to keep being a console gamer, you are eventually going to have to get an Xbox in a few years. That's the way it is. It sucks to suck, but on the other hand, I did the numbers, and look, let's say Call of Duty sells 20 million copies a year. Assume half of those are on PlayStation. That means 5 million PC, maybe 5 million Xbox. I'm just pulling this out of my ass, but let's just say that's what it is. Like 120 million PS4s out there. That's like, what, 20 to 30% of the user base. Basically, yeah, a lot of people are going to jump ship from PlayStation. Yeah, Sony is not going to run away with this generation, but they're not going anywhere. Your average PlayStation gamer, again, all the Blizzard games are for PC. Your average PlayStation gamer cares way more about your single-player kind of games. Horizons, your Uncharted, you know, your stuff like that. I don't think most of us are going anywhere. I think we're happy with our PlayStations, but again, you are going to get a bunch of people to jump ship. So I don't think PS5 is going to run with the generation. I think it's going to be a tight race like the PS3, the Xbox 360. The other gamers who are going to be upset by this, and I'm one of them, is any 0.00000000005 minutes late, 0.00001% chance any of us ever had of Crash Bandicoot being developed at Naughty Dog one more time, or one more Spyro game from the team at Insomniac. That's gone because, in a hilarious twist of fate, irony, I don't know what the dictionary, Microsoft now owns Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. How do you like them apples? You know, it is what it is. They also now own, for the record, they have Rare's properties like Conker and Banjo. So I would like an internal studio at Microsoft, maybe make it Toys for Bob, just focus on classic 3D platforms. I'd be okay with that. And now for my first hot takeaway. This is the beginning, not the beginning, I think this was really probably when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, but I really think this is one of the earliest, like, oh my god, it's here, signs that we're living in a dystopian future ruled by corporate oligarchs. And unlike in the movies like Blade Runner, where it was terrible, but at least you had flying cars and like android robots, we don't have any of that crap, and it upsets me. But seriously, it isn't great when a company has FU money, despite my hilarious Monopoly thing in the background. This isn't really a monopoly. They bought a first-person shooter franchise, a bunch of PC gaming franchises. It's not like they're ending competition here, and even if Microsoft were to buy like an EA, well, Madden and FIFA are going to be multi-platform for the same reason that the show is now forced to be multi-platform. Sports leagues want them on both systems to make more money. But basically, I don't like the fact that, mega corporations are just buying up more and more developers, and it scares me where this is going, because I feel like it's going to be a race to see who can snatch up all the third parties. We won't have any third parties anymore. And that's, third parties are part of a healthy and sustainable industry. That's great. Second hot takeaway, kudos to every single video game developer and publisher on the planet who didn't sell their soul to Microsoft, because they bought literally the largest third-party publisher of core games, which is Activision Blizzard. $70 billion. It would have been cheaper to get literally anybody. Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix, significantly less, by the way, Epic. Valve would never probably sell, but hey, who knows? So basically, at this point, Activision Blizzard had a market cap slightly above Nintendo. Xbox in the past, 20 years ago, tried to buy Nintendo. They said no. You gotta imagine Uncle Phil tried again. They said no. You gotta imagine EA said no. You gotta imagine how many of these mega studios and publishers said no. Square Enix said no, probably. It wouldn't shock me in the least, because you really could have bought like Capcom, Square Enix, all the Konami IP, Ubisoft, Take-Two, all for the price of Activision Blizzard. It's absolutely insane. And then you got to look at smaller studios such as Rocksteady, when Warner Brothers, I think, was looking to get rid of them. That was probably a $1 billion or $2 studio, $1 billion studio, not a $70 billion studio. Insomniac finally decided to marry Sony after their 20-year-long courtship. They could have gone to Microsoft and they didn't. So it says a lot about who didn't sell their soul, because if Microsoft wants about $70 billion in Activision Blizzard, they buy literally. Other hot takeaway, it kind of upsets me that I feel like I'm glad Xbox has exclusives now. We've got 2 competitive consoles. I am upset because I feel like they didn't earn. You know what I mean? Like PlayStation, almost every major first-party PlayStation studio that makes an amazing game was started from the ground up or acquired decades ago by Sony. And they have years and years of history of being nurtured, getting better at their craft, and making better and better games. Naughty Dog starts, Crash. Well, actually, I think they made games before Crash Bandicoot. Go from Crash on the PS1, Jack on the PS2, Uncharted PS3, and The Last of Us, and all the acclaim that. It's amazing to see the ride these studios have been on, and they've all been with Sony. And even the ones they didn't own, they eventually acquired. Like Insomniac, they didn't own. They've released not counting all the Oculus Rift games, 1 or 2 non-PlayStation games in 20 years. They were basically a Sony first-party studio. And Microsoft, basically, they had Bungie, they lost Bungie, kept the Halo IP. 343 has not made a game that people love as much as the Bungie. But, you never owned Epic Games, you just bought the Gears IP. All these studios that they're buying, Obsidian, Double Fine, everybody from Bethesda ZeniMax, they bought it. They just like, hey, we have FU money. Let's buy the best studios in the world because we can't make a good game from scratch to save our lives. It kind of irks me just a little bit. It's fair. It irks me. Last hot takeaway. Does Sony have to start buying things because they don't have FU money? Look, Microsoft's a company with a market cap over $2 trillion. The entire Sony Corp is about $150 billion. It's nothing to sneeze at, but they can't drop $70 million to buy Activision. They can't drop $40 million to buy Electronic Arts. And here's the thing, they don't have to. Sony's business model is pretty smart. We have the best exclusive games in the world developed in-house. You need a PlayStation to play them. We don't really care if everything else is multi-platform. We're okay with that. Okay, now that Microsoft's like, oh, well, we'll just buy everybody. Okay, well, like, is Sony forced to buy Square Enix? Probably a $6 to $10 billion company. They don't need to. You know, Square Enix games do not sell on non-Sony hardware that often. You know, maybe Tomb Raider does, but like, no, people play JRPGs on PlayStations and Nintendo consoles occasionally. Like, they don't need to buy them, but like, if they don't, are they afraid Microsoft will, and they're forced to buy them? You know, same thing with a company like Ubisoft. I don't really want Sony to buy Ubisoft, but like, oh, we kind of need to. And somebody said, well, they could buy Take-Two. Maybe they'd go bankrupt almost trying to get it. Nobody even knows if, you know, Dan Houser left. Nobody knows if GTA 6 is going to be good. Ken Levine hasn't put out a game in 8 years. Is it going to be worth it? You know, I don't know, but here's the thing. Sony didn't need to buy these other franchises, studios, developers, publishers, but now they're like, well, if we don't, and Microsoft does, we won't have games anymore. It's not really fair. So I'm not happy about that. I don't think it's so, you know, I'm okay with third parties. Microsoft is literally doing this because, like, well, we can't beat them, so we're just going to buy up every single third party developer, so screw them. They have FU money, they can do it, but it's not great. I want to clarify, they do not have a monopoly here. It's not like they're, you know, it's just, you know, Call of Duty and a bunch of PC games from Blizzard. It's not a monopoly. It's just, it's unsettling and it's sad and it makes me scared, like how many more studios they are going to buy up before it is a monopoly. So. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your mom's ex-boyfriend about this if you want. I really care. And yeah, hope this was fun. Thanks for watching. Sound off in the comments and continue discussion there. Stay classy, and as always, I'm not wearing any pants.